Hello all, Healing Oracle here, and this video is going to be describing and providing evidence that extraterrestrial life has been here. They never left, and we are in the beginnings of contact before first contact, so to speak. So you'll see some evidence and also personal experiences in the coming video. Ancient Egyptians, Maya, Hopi, Leica, and Inca elders understood that the great central sun to be a portal that redirects energy from the galactic center. With advanced knowledge of astronomy and astrology, these ancient cultures noted a perfect alignment of the sun and the earth every 26,000 years. This happened on December 21st, 2012. The Hindus divided this 26,000-year cycle into 4 yugas: the Kali, Dwapara, Treta, and Satya. The ancient Greeks into 4 ages: the Iron, Bronze, Silver, and Golden. Modern astrologers refer to this cycle as a precession of the equinoxes, whereby the Earth travels backwards through the entire 12 signs of the zodiac. Every 2100 years, we enter a new zodiac age. The 24-hour cycle of day and night, the 365-day cycle of the seasons, the 2100-year cycle of the zodiac ages, and the 26,000-year precession of the equinoxes are all caused by the Earth spins on its axis in relation to the Sun. Each cycle, an ongoing evolution of consciousness as we fall asleep and awaken from night to day, winter to summer, equinox to equinox. One complete 26,000-year cycle of the equinoxes transitions us through the Dark Ages and into the ages of spiritual enlightenment. According to the ancients, the drawing of the final 2100-year zodiac age, the age of Aquarius, on December 21st, 2012, heralds the arrival of the Golden Age, signifying the completion of one 225 million year full spin of our entire galaxy, and marks the end of all cycles of time. Whereas the game of duality is ending, the alignment of our sun and earth with the center of our galaxy, which is also known as the galactic photon belt alignment, resulted in a greater amount of light now reaching us, triggering a global spiritual awakening. In order to withstand the tremendous amount of light that is streaming into Earth, humans are undergoing a spiritual and physical ascension, whereby our carbon-based cells are being transformed into a crystalline, non-polar, or zero-point energy formation. Duality opposes the divine law of polarity, which states that what appear to be opposites are simply two extremes of the same thing. There is no duality of good or bad, right or wrong, positive or negative. Everything is simply an experience. Since the Dark Ages on Earth, the split between the two hemispheres of our brains has caused us to live lives of dualities. The left hemisphere concerns with logic, mathematics, and sequential relationships. It conceptualizes everything in a linear time frame, creating an illusion that we are finite, separate from one another, and separate from divine source. In contrast, on the right hemisphere, we have concerns with creative possessions such as music, rhythm, imagination, intuition, humor, dreams, that understands that we are infinite in the dream world, connected in unity to one another and to infinite creator. As we ascend, though, aided by the decrease of Earth's magnetic field and gravitational pull, new synaptic pathways are being forged, created to promote hemispherical communication, thus ending our need to continue the illusionary. Ascension is the process where we remember who we are, our emotional bodies linking magnetically to the earth are aided by the expansion of the earth from the magnetic polarity of the first three dimensions to the crystalline to 0 point non-polarity of the higher dimensions to assist us to let go of all beliefs and behaviors that just don't align with us anymore, and our 0 point energy, which is leap. So my point in explaining all that is to show you that, we're going into a golden age, but if we're going in and out of these cycles, or up and down, I should say, then we've been here before. We've been in a golden age before, and it's represented in our stories of mythology and stories of gods and goddesses, and of course represented by Atlantis and Lemuria. We've been here before, as you can see, and this graph does give you specific dates on when we have been there before, and it correlates perfectly with our mythological stories and times of Atlantis and Lemuria. And I do believe that the ones incarnated here, like you and me, are a direct reincarnation from those times. We're repeating this time again. So when I had my near-death experience, I did learn that before we incarnate each time, we make out a plan, we map out the experiences that we would like to have, what circumstances we would like to learn from, everything. And since there are different timelines, we do map out different choices, different circumstances for each timeline. So there's never a wrong path, there's always a path no matter which choice you make, whether it's positive or what we perceive as positive or negative. There's still learning everywhere. So we get like a buffet of experiences that we would like to experience while we were here, and it depends on our choices, on which it's kind of like chutes and ladders, I guess. Which path we go down, which choice we make, whether or not we get to experience it or not. And it's all based on intention, whatever our intention is in that present moment. But that is a whole nother video. But my point is that we come here with the understanding that we have agreed to make this contact during this time with the light beings, with our guides, with the extra-dimensional beings, the extraterrestrials, whatever your term is for them. We have agreed to come here and experience this massive, wonderful, beautiful change on Earth that leads us into this golden age where we have open contact. But it has to start off as a means of easing our way into it, so to speak. We can't just all of a sudden one day, have open contact. It's just not going to end well. Us humans tend to have a very visceral reaction to everything. I think it would cause massive problems. And I mean mental, physical, emotional, it would throw us all into like a PTSD, and that's exactly what we come here during this time to work out, to understand, to move past that, to move past all that trauma, and it would just cause more trauma. So we've agreed to take steps with all the above, mental, emotional, physical, one comes before the other, so there is no, trauma involved in making this contact, especially since we come here and we're told that they don't exist. So, the first step is the light beings, extra-dimensionals, extraterrestrials. They meet with our higher self first, in a state of dream, in a state of deep, deep meditation, unconscious. Our higher self is our self without any guards, any veiling. It's our soul within our soul. It's our deepest self. They meet with our higher self, and they see where our physical self is at this point in time on our journey. How far have we come? How far in our journey have we come? How many barriers have we broken through? How many traumas have we worked through? How much do we understand about energy and karma, about our higher self in general? Do we even know about our higher self? Do we even know there's more? Where are we at? Where are we at? Are we still negatively influenced? Are we still negatively influenced, but understand that we have the choice to be more positive and loving? Are we trying to make a difference in ourselves and or the world around us? Are we starting to understand and practice things like meditation, relaxation? Are we conscious about our diet? Are we aware that we can be conscious about our diet? How are we interacting with those around us? How are we interacting with ourselves? What career path have we chosen? So they have a good, long, in-depth conversation with our higher self about all of this. And then they, together, the higher self and them, make a decision on whether to initiate, the real first step in contact here, which would be in things like dreams, deep meditation, guidance of thought, synchronicities, introducing, the prompts to look at the synchronicity, maybe to initiate some kind of a deep thought experience, rabbit hole that leads them into some kind of a conscious movement. So let's talk about dreams for a little bit, because the very first inkling that I had anything was different, so to speak, was my dreams seemed very lucid. My dreams seemed very outside the box, and I knew to pay attention to my dreams. And this is how I believe that they started. Well, I know they started with me is because I was paying attention to my dreams. They're always going to go and send you information where they know you're looking. I'll tell you the first dream I had when I was, that I remember, because it was very profound. I was lying in my bed one evening and I was asleep. I felt myself drift down and I was walking along a rocky path, and on each side of me, on each row, it was like a road, on each side of me were similar houses. They all looked the same, and they were exactly so far apart, every single one of them. And then each, maybe 15 seconds or so, a person would join in, and it was like an assembly line going down to this open area. I get down to the end, and there everybody is standing around in a circle. They all were wearing white robes with the hood up. And it was everybody standing around, and in the center was a energy fire type thing, and it was violet, and the woman to the right of me takes down her white robed hood and says, "It was you, it's always been you." And then all of a sudden, it was like I was sucked back through. I could feel myself flying through everything, through the earth, through the atmosphere and then back into my body, and then I awoke. And I do believe that it took me a few days to process this, and I'm still trying to figure out what everything means, but just to give you an example of how things kind of initiate. But I do know now that that was in Inner Earth City. I was in Inner Earth in one of the Great Caverns, and this is what they kind of use, that energy fire is kind of what they use for an alternative light source, as well as they're very aware of energy, how energy heals, and not to mention their fourth density, so they're a little more everything advanced spiritually, mentally, emotionally. So dreaming breaks the ice, because in dream world we have no limits. We are taught here that dreaming has no limits. So that is a belief system that they do not have to work through. So it started there. That just opens our mind to question, is there more? Has there been more? Or will there be more? And I want to say too that, when we're dreaming, we are always traveling. Our soul is leaving and we are going places. We're in other realms, we're in other timelines, we're with our guides, we're with our loved ones. But here is a good map on brainwaves. I want to talk about that for a little bit so we can kind of understand this a little bit too. And later on, I think I'll dedicate like a whole video on it. But okay, so beta brainwaves are between 13 and 32 hertz. That is our awake state, our normal alert consciousness, our active thinking. So making decisions, solving a problem, focusing on a task, learning. And then we go into alpha brainwaves. And these waves are between 8 and 13 hertz. And this is a state of being physically and mentally relaxed. Some of the most easily observed and were the first to be discovered. They became detectable when the eyes are closed and the mind is relaxed. They can also be found during activities like yoga, just before falling asleep, being creative and artistic. Then we move on to theta brainwaves. So theta a little bit slower. They are between 4 and 8 hertz. This is a state of creativity, insight, dreaming, reduced consciousness. And I believe, what is his name? Jim Lagopoulos or something like that. He was doing a lot of studies on theta brainwaves. And he was really the first one to discover them and tag them basically on, these are the waves that are produced to indicate deep relaxation. They occur more frequently though in like highly experienced meditation. The source being the frontal parts of the brain, which are associated with monitoring of other mental processes. Interesting, huh? Most frequently, theta brainwaves are strongly detectable when we're dreaming in deep sleep. These also can be found while you're daydreaming, so it comes to show how you can enter a meditative state just by daydreaming. And then delta brainwaves are between 0.5 and 4 hertz, which is deep sleep, deep dreaming. The slowest of all brainwaves, the strongest when we are enjoying restorative sleep in a dreamless state, which this is what science says. I say this is most certainly not dreamless sleep. We are the most receptible to any kind of telepathic contact or any kind of downloading from universe source when we are in this delta brainwaves, and then below that is actually discovered gamma brainwaves. And gamma is kind of like the ace in the cards, where it's actually higher hertz, but it's actually the lowest of all brainwaves. So actually the frequency is 32 to 100 hertz. And this is a state of heightened perception or solving tasks. And this is the most common with Buddhist monks. Buddhist monks can enter gamma brainwaves very quickly because they are very highly trained. So going back to what I said before about how the higher self and these light beings discuss on if we've started practicing meditation, are we recognizing that there is more our dreams, and that because if we're able to enter into slower brain waves to where we were the most receptible, then contact can begin. Then we are in more of a perceiving state to these contacts, to these communities. And I'm going to tell you that they're happening all the time. We are just in such of a quick brainwave state that we are not focused on that. If we were to slow our brainwaves down at any time and enter delta anytime, you will see that it's happening all the time. It's a matter of fact of, are we aware of it? And the whole reason why this is going on, while this type of contact is starting right now with some of us, or some of us being aware of it rather, is because so we can be prepared for when it does happen for the whole, for when it does happen publicly, so that we are not caught off guard. We can understand it, accept it, embrace it, love it, and integrate with it. So when this does happen for the whole, publicly, we can assist others on doing the same and being prepared for this, because this is going to be a new normal. They love us and they want to help us, but the only way they can help us is to show us how to help ourselves, because they're not going to come in and drop on the White House lawn and show us how to do this and that and do everything for us. It's up to us. We are the ones that are going to save us. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. It's up to us. My ending advice to you is to start meditating 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. That's all it takes. Start paying attention to your dreams. Create a dream journal. So the moment you wake up, write as many details that stood out to you as possible. And you'll start finding those connections. You'll start noticing. You'll start noticing synchronicities, a little more coincidences than a coincidence. You'll start putting it all together. Trust me. And just ask with a grateful heart and a grateful frequency. Ask. Your guides, your angels, they love you. They're here, but we have to help ourselves. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and share. Make sure you tap the bell so you don't miss any new videos. I've got so much more coming. And I will be on soon to do a live feed as well. Make sure you share though, because the more it's shared, the more eyes on the truth, and the more we can prepare others. And if you guys have any questions, suggestions, feel free to comment. Thank you.